Welcome in, everybody, to Gone Racin, the Spanish countdown of Gone Racing by our lovely Ann today.
Uno, dos, tres. That's about all I know.
You know, dos más margaritas and donde está el baño.
I know margarita is in Spanish.
There you go.
Yeah.
Order a taco. Welcome back in, everybody. Gone Racing. Brendan Gaughan, Jeff Motley, Mr. Motley. I am not wearing my sunglasses today. I had some people ask if I had a black eye or something. No, that's where the microphone was, and it was the best microphone I had, so that's why I was using them. I thought about starting the show with them on just for fun. But I am back in with you in studio.
Yeah, you were an overachiever last week.
That's right. I was here looking for you last week saying, you're late. Let's go. But, yeah, I've been a little busy lately.
It's kind of like that Michael Waltrip commercial where he says, I'm at the wrong racetrack or whatever.
Yep. That was
so if you showed up at a racetrack last week, unless you were there for Xfinity or trucks at Rockingham, you were at the wrong racetrack.
I was at the wrong track. But I am back in studio this week with you, Mr. Motley. We are back in, and we did have a week off. Hope everybody had a lovely Easter weekend for those that, celebrate it. And the Xfinity and the truck guys and the ARCA guys were in Rockingham. Had a really fun race to watch if you had a chance. I love that track. That is such a fun track. It's a lot of history, but just the way it's like a Darlington, but the way that tires wear out, the comers and goers, it was a lot of good racing this weekend.
Yeah. I remember going to cup races there, back in the day, and Rockingham, fun place to go to the racetrack. Not the easiest place in the world to get to, I will say, but a pretty racetrack.
Always slow down in, what was it? I'm now going to draw a blank.
So whether you're right there, you're near the Pinehurst.
Oh yeah, right near
Pinehurst area. We used to fly into Southern Pines Airport there to get to it. See, I don't remember there's a lot of little towns around there.
McBee. Don't speed through McBee.
It's also close to the hometown of where the late, great Benny Parsons, Ellerby, North Carolina. He grew up right down the road from Rockingham Raceway. And
Rockingham was where I did my first ever lap in a stock car. Buck Baker Driving School.
At Rockingham.
Yep.
Buck Baker. Was Buck there?
Yeah, no, Mr. Baker was there, and years later when I had Buddy as my driver coach, we actually his dad actually talked about me. He said back in the day, so it's kind of neat.
I got to tell you a really funny Buck Baker story.
There's a lot of Buck and Buddy Baker stories.
He told this story once that I was at some dinner with him, and this had to be in like the early '90s at Charlotte Motor Speedway, and he had come up with this idea of it was sort of like the water bottle that was connected to his helmet, and he started this back in like the late 50s or early 60s. It was kind of groundbreaking type stuff, right? And he, on one particular race, he thought it would be really cool to put beer instead of water in there. And he said that they probably weren't 3 or 4 laps into the race, and the beer was nothing but foam. And he had absolutely
nothing to drink,
nothing left to drink for the race. And I'm thinking, well, can you imagine doing that in the year 2026 here? But
listen, they were made different. Them's was built different.
Yeah, just listen to Buck tell stories was, Buddy, his son, was a pretty good storyteller too. But that was what's the old thing? The apple didn't fall far from the tree there.
Yeah, no. But Mr. Buddy Baker was absolutely hilarious.
He was one of your driver coaches.
He was. That's what Penske. He was.
The whole Baker family
fell out of the ambulance. Tried to a gurney.
Did happen too. Yep.
If you didn't know that, go search Moody's show. They have a Legends episode where he talks about it. It's really
Buddy Baker going down the front stretch on the gurney.
Right. That's right. But we do need to close out what happened at Martinsville last week, or a couple weeks ago. And look, we all know that Denny Hamlin. We talked about him. We talked about how what he was going to be, and Denny was the man to beat until he wasn't the man to beat. And it ended up being a great day for Chase Elliott. Hendrick Motorsports, of course, so good at Martinsville, and they came through on this day. Chase Elliott was your winner with a plus 700. He got a top 3 at plus 265. He won Group B at 165, which he was the heavy favorite there. Over Hamlin and Blaney at plus 130s, and Chevy was the plus 150. So good run for all of them. You go to the top 10s. Denny Hamlin was your 150 at a top 3. No shocker there. The chalk was near the top. Joey Logano. We've been saying, are we on Joey? Are we not on Joey? But we said Martinsville was Joey.
Solid run.
And plus 350, that was a good return. But how about some of these things? Ty Gibbs, another solid run. Another Hendrick car of Byron. Blaney, we said he was going to be good. There he was. Seabell, Austin Cindric with a great run for Penske there. Austin Cindric getting top 10. Kyle Larson. And then you said it. I was kind of poo-pooing him. But if you could find a Josh Berry pick for a top 10, you got a decent payday. Josh Berry ran well, third and one in the first stage and 10th in the second one. So ended up with a good day for Josh Berry there.
Yeah, pretty good. A few observations there. First off, the 3 Penske cars all in the top 8, and then really the fourth Penske
one.
car, if you will. I mean, all 4 really in the top 10 there with Josh Berry. I think week in, week out, we've been talking about how well Ty Gibbs is running, and Ty Gibbs is running well everywhere right now. It's just a matter of time before he breaks through and gets that first career win. And I guess a guy you got to give a little pat on the back to is Chase Elliott's crew chief, Alan Gustafson.
Great call.
A lot of people were questioning the call, and yes, he was fortunate when the caution came out.
Well, 4 laps from being in danger.
But I will also say this: once Chase got out front, I mean, Denny Hamlin had been
drove away from him.
Right. Denny had been the dominant car all day, but Denny couldn't do anything with Chase over the end of that race. So I mean, look, yeah, you got a little bit of a lucky break, but you know what? Sometimes what's the old saying? You got to get your foot in the door,
make your own luck,
and then you blow it open, and that's kind of what Chase Elliott did.
Not in the top 10, but I want to talk about it. Shane Van Gisbergen, 11th place finish at Martinsville, which no slouch there,
and ran up there top 10 all day.
And then there's Ryan Preece and Brad Keselowski, 10th and 12th and 13th. So RFK, it may not be top 10s, may not be showing on the board, but good days for some of them. That was a pretty darn good run for them. Let's get to our group matchup winners. Last week, Denny Hamlin did win Group A with his second place finish right there at a plus 220. Of course, we said Group B, Chase Elliott, 165. He was the heavy favorite. And I mean, Joey Logano, the big dog, got third place and loses Group B. So that was a little tough. Ty Gibbs, your Group C winner there at a plus 260, and won that one fairly easy with the rest of the guys where they finished. Austin Cindric with a solid win as your dog at plus 360 with that top 10 finish there. And, Group C, Josh Berry, Group D there, finished 10th, but couldn't get the win for you.
Josh Berry finishes 10th and he's in Group D and he doesn't get the win. That's
a bad beat. Group E, how about this? Shane Van Gisbergen, your dog. You and I both didn't even mention him there. 11th place finish, winning the Group E, which that's a great run for Shane. If he becomes an all-around driver in our sport, he's coming.
He's headed there.
He's getting
that way.
And then we got Group F. Michael McDowell gets it there with a 19th or 18th place finish, which that if you look at Group F, this is why sometimes Group F is just as tough as Group A. 22nd, 18th, 20th, 23rd. I mean, all right on top of each other. So Michael McDowell wins that group at Martinsville for us. Current standings. It's going to start getting tight here. Guys right now, we got Daniel Suarez eked in at the very bottom. The point leader, Tyler Reddick, we don't even need, Tyler Reddick just,
he's almost 100
almost 100 points already ahead. Right, so he's absolutely killing it. But what we need to look at really, and we don't have it here if you're listening, we're going to talk about it. But right now, just outside of that top 16 is where this is going to start getting tough, Jeff. I mean, look at the names that are outside. You've got Austin Cindric outside of the top 16
Chase Briscoe
points.
being outside.
You got Chase Briscoe.
That's breaking news.
You got Kyle. We're still working on Kyle. There's some big names down there though that are not in the top 16, which is where they need to be. And Penske Motorsports, Joe Gibbs Racing, Richard Childress. There's big teams outside the top 16. Looking in, and there's some guys still in there. Look at SVG's holding strong at 14th.
SVG and Hocevar and Suarez, but I'll tell you, the guy right now that I think has got to start getting concerned because I don't know what's happening over there is the Bubba Wallace team. I mean, they're going down like the Titanic right now. I mean, he was second and comfortably in second. He's already dropped all the way to 11th. He doesn't have a top 5.
Yeah, no, he's. But here's the thing: he was running. Was running well, just didn't get to finish there.
But we've seen this for several weeks now where they haven't really closed the deal. So I think maybe this off week probably was really good for that team. I mean,
Bubba's got to now focus and not do the quicksand. He's got to focus back in, say, hey, we're running great. We're still in a good spot. He's running, it's not like they're searching. There's a difference when you're searching for speed and when you have it and bad things happen. So we just got to let him, if he just keeps himself in control, he'll be good. And one thing we didn't note, Alex Bowman is back in the 48 car this week. He has been medically cleared. Hope he's okay. I mean, that was a pretty long absence for vertigo. So
yeah, and I've never had vertigo. I've heard people tell me that it's like when you're walking, it's like trying to walk on a rowboat when it's in a pond with the wind blowing, and I'm like, ooh, I wouldn't want any part of that.
Welcome back, Alex. So hopefully he has a good return this week.
One other thing on Bubba, after this week, Bristol, I mean, we're going to go to 3 racetracks that set up pretty well for for Bubba. So that's a time for him to try to get.
Even Bristol's
gear
not
there.
half bad for him.
Not
Let's
horrible.
talk about those races coming up, Mr. Motley. We have, of course, this week, the Food City 500 at Bristol Motor Speedway. Then after that, we got Kansas, the Advent Health 400 at the 1.5 mile there in Kansas. Then we go, of course, Jack Slings 500, Talladega, the big monster of Dega. You know, one of my favorites. You know how much I love that place. Then the Worth 400 at Texas, another 1.5 miles. And then a road course. Go bowling at the Glen, Watkins Glen. So Bubba has a few weeks to make a comeback, but again, fun schedule here. Short track, 1.5 miles, you know, Talladega.
And I believe this is the earliest we've ever raced at Watkins Glen. I mean, that race has always been a
pretty early.
traditional August, you know, early to mid-August race. So going to Watkins Glen in May, it's a little bit.
Maybe,
I mean, and not that it
maybe some rain tires in their future.
Well, you just never know. I mean, you know, it's April showers, May flowers, but that's early May. You never know what you might get out there. So, and look, Shane Van Gisbergen, you talk about, you know, he's in the top 16 of points. Well, he's licking his chops because we got Watkins Glen coming, and we got Sonoma coming, and we got the San Diego, the Air Force Base race that are coming. I mean, all those races are coming up this summer for him to get himself locked into the playoffs. And granted, a win doesn't lock you in, but the way he's running right now, and knowing that there's a bunch of road courses.
Remember, the further we get in, the you know, right now we're seeing guys gain and drop massive points. That stops the further in we get. You know, it gets harder to do. So if he can make a run during that road course season, he might give himself a buffer where he can have some of those lesser runs. Bristol Motor Speedway, of course, there's some guys that are amazing here. I mean, you look at this. Kyle Busch, you know, 19. That's the old Kyle. 14 top fives in 38 races. That's pretty amazing. But look at that, Denny Hamlin, 20 top tens. Then you got guys, you know, down there. Kyle Larson. Look at Kyle Larson. 8 top fives, 13 top tens, and 19 races.
Kyle Larson has not won in 31 races.
Now you keep pointing that out, but he's pretty stellar at
I know,
at Bristol.
but he is now fallen into the what have you done for me lately? I'm not picking Kyle Larson to win a race until Kyle Larson
folks
wins
on
a race.
Sirius XM, who won the championship last year?
I understand that, but I can tell you he's probably frustrating too. He's frustrated, I'm sure.
All right. Well, I will frustrate Mr. Motley a little bit more when we come back, and we'll get into on the winners and top threes and all the good stuff on Gone Racing. We'll see you in a couple minutes, guys. Welcome back into Gone Racing. Good thing everybody can't listen to us off the air as we practice our Spanish and our German and our
at
French.
A United Nations meeting if you were sitting in here right now.
We're counting down backwards of how many of us in different languages, and of course, you know, everybody making fun of me since I've been the last couple weeks down in Baja. So
yeah, but you speak Spanish fluently. It's
I don't know about
impressive.
hold on. My cuñado would say I definitely am not fluent. So you know, me and my muchachito Daniel Suarez, they both say I speak a little Spanglish.
Okay,
I wouldn't go
but he
fluent
can
anymore.
understand what you're saying if you talk to him in Spanish, right?
Normally.
Okay, and you can understand what he's saying.
There was a driver that I got accused of saying things that I cussed out in 2 different languages when he wrecked me. So I mean, that was kind of amusing.
Like I saw some baseball brawl the other day on TV, and the two guys were yelling at each other in Spanish. I'm like, well, how do you know they were mad at each other? Well, once they started throwing punches, it was pretty obvious.
When he wrecked me and I ran up to him, I started cussing at him in English, and he told me he started saying no habla, so I started cussing at him in Spanish. He said, "I'm really sorry. I'm really sorry." I was like, yeah, you understand English and Spanish now. Hey, welcome back in. Sorry, Gone Racing. Brendan Gaughan, Jeff Motley, South Point Studio, hanging out. Jeff, last week on our YouTube poll.
Well, we were not having
last
a show, but you were in studio anyway.
The South Point Studio ran a little poll on the YouTube channel with Sports by the Book and all their stuff, and they had a question. And so we got the answer to the question in our poll.
I'll
What say you, sir?
I'll read the question verbatim. Which NASCAR driver will break into the top 10 once racing resumes after the Easter break? And that was a question that was put out there. And this was the votes. Shane Van Gisbergen was the top vote getter at 36% of the vote.
32 points out.
Followed by Joey Logano at 27% of the vote.
21 points out.
Bubba Wallace at 23% of the vote.
He's only 1 point out, so I mean.
But he's third in the voting.
Understood.
And then Ryan Preece got the remaining 14% of the vote.
26 points out.
So those were the 4 options that you had. I just find it interesting that Shane Van Gisbergen is who our viewers, our listeners believe in. And again, he's got a lot of road courses coming up this summer.
Well, you just pointed out the schedule that's coming up, and look at what he did last week. You know, another top 10 finish, or just outside top 15 finish. He's running really well at a lot of places. So I mean, you got to give him some credit. I mean, you know, if he keeps this rise in his performance at all these places. You look at last year, he went to Bristol, was 38th and had a suspension break at lap 200, probably hit something. And then you look at how he came back in playoffs, 26th. Is that great? No. But is that a big improvement in watching him the way he absolutely has shown that he gets better every time he goes back. So, Shane Van Gisbergen could be the one. To me, the easy answer in that poll was Bubba Wallace. He's 1 point out of the top 10, and he's been running amazingly well. So I think Bubba will be back in the top 10 here, but that means who drops out? Brad Keselowski, Christopher Bell, Kyle Larson, Chris Buescher. That's the hard part is who do you replace?
Let me ask you this, and there's a key word in here. Is Shane Van Gisbergen the most versatile race car driver in the world right now?
No. Kyle Larson's still the most versatile race car driver in the world, in my opinion. Now, do I think SVG is absolutely becoming a much better NASCAR driver? 1,000,000%. SVG has proven he is a great race car driver, and he is starting to get this oval track stuff down, which ovals, of course, are predominantly in America. So he's getting it down. But I still would put Kyle Larson as
that's fair.
Odds on the most versatile driver in the world.
He has raced in Indy 500 and he's raced in the Chili Bowl.
He's almost he had a chance to win that Indy 500 and was doing amazing in it. And he has won the Chili Bowl and he has won sprint cars and he's won cup races and he's won road courses. There ain't nobody in my opinion that Kyle Larson, you're going to be hard pressed to get me to come off of that one. Let's get to what we're supposed to do here on Gone Racin', since we've digressed multiple times here, as we do on the show, me and you. Let's get to the odds at Bristol Motor Speedway now that we are here. And the odds, the favorite, the guy we were just talking about, my guy, Kyle Larson is your favorite, plus 450. Denny Hamlin second there at plus 500. Then Christopher Bell, Ryan Blaney, 600. Ty Gibbs. Let's make a note of that. Ty Gibbs, me and you will talk about that in a second, plus 800. William Byron, Chase Briscoe, 12-1. Chase Elliott, 18. Brad Keselowski, Carson Hocevar, 20-1. Carson Hocevar, 20-1. Ooh. Joey Logano, 30. And Chris Buescher been bet down already to 25-1. These, of course, come from the South Point. A lot of numbers here I like right off the bat here, Mr. Motley.
Yeah, you mentioned Ty Gibbs when you're going through there, plus 800. But you're telling me the guy who dominated this race last fall and probably made a mistake and chose the wrong restart lane on the final restart last year, Brad Keselowski, is 20-1. I don't care if he's got a broken leg. Keselowski's been running well, and he
hasn't seemed to slow him down.
He hasn't shown any signs of the broken leg inside the race car. 20-1 to me on Brad Keselowski. If he's going to break through, look, he's won 3 times here. He loves this racetrack. 20-1 on Brad Keselowski, I think, is just an amazing number. But I also do like the plus 800 on Ty Gibbs. And like I said before we went to the first break, Kyle Larson, favorite, fine. Make him the favorite. I don't disagree with it, plus 450. But he's lost 31 races in a row. And now I'm going to want to see him take the checkered flag before I want to bet.
Kyle Larson in this race last year led 411 laps.
31 races.
411 laps.
31 races. Something's got to give, right?
I want to, but
and look, I know Kyle Larson is going to win. His number of wins right now are not going to be the final win total of his career. Okay, I understand he's going to win. I'm just saying I need to see him win before I'm ready to go put some money.
What I like though is that Ty Gibbs at plus 800 and Chase Briscoe. This race was Brad Keselowski in the end of that race was the guy up front was leading and all those things. But the guys that were dominant were Ty and Chase Briscoe. 127 laps for Chase, 201 for Ty. Ty second and first in the stages. These two guys were super fast. Got mixed up in a deal in my favorite word, the Hasselhoff near the end of that race. Lost some spots. Those two guys right there, and you're giving me a plus 800 and a 12-1 on those two. I like those two to win that race right there.
Well, and let's not also count out Christopher Bell at plus 600. These are his kind of racetracks. He loves racetracks like this, and it just wouldn't surprise me.
7 top 10s, by the way, in 9 races for C-Bell.
Yeah, C-Bell's going to be strong. So plus 600, good number on him, I think, too.
Let's get to the second page here, and this is kind of amusing. Our second page starts with Bubba Wallace at 31, and our current dominant driver in the entire sport, Tyler Reddick, 30-1. I think the South Point may need to change that odd there. They might get bet down quick. Josh Berry, 50-1. Austin Cindric, Ryan Preece, Ross Chastain all at 50. Eric Jones, 80. Kyle Busch at 80. And then Michael McDowell, John Hunter, and Daniel Suarez at 1. And Zane Smith all at 100-1. The field, 20-1. Zane Smith, You've been pretty high on Zane a lot. Zane Smith in the playoff race last year, he came home with a pretty solid third place finish. Led some laps, was fit. It wasn't like he did something in the end. 5th and 9th in stages, led some laps. So not a bad run for Zane Smith. 100-1. I mean, is it worth $5 to put it on?
I think it's a look to get him at 100-1. I mean, you got nothing to lose really. I mean, you got $5 to lose. I mean, I'd say take a shot at that. I'm with you too. Tyler Reddick 30-1. Are you kidding me? And look, Josh Berry at 50-1. I expect Josh Berry. Look, he ran well at Martinsville. I think Josh Berry will run pretty well here. And I don't ever count out a guy like Ryan Preece or Ross Chastain. Oh, and Austin Cindric. All these guys are sitting there at 50-1. And Austin Cindric had a good run last week. So to me, 50-1 seems like really, really, really high numbers on some guys that I probably would have at 25 or 30-1, and I'd probably have Reddick about 18 or 20-1.
And Reddick, I mean, look, his stats not great at Bristol. I mean, it's but I don't care what his stats look like.
Well, the short tracks have kind of been their Achilles.
Well, he's 9 races, 1 top 5, 19.4 average finish, but I don't care. Tyler Reddick is ridiculous this year, so he's sitting down there at 30-1. That might be worth putting a couple bucks on too, and just leaving it there just for see how it goes. Let's get to the top threes. Our favorite for the top threes, again, this now comes from DraftKings, though. Kyle Larson is plus 120. Denny Hamlin, 165. Ryan Blaney, 190. Christopher Bell, 210. William Byron, 300. Ty Gibbs, 320. Chase Elliott, Chase Briscoe. The Chases there tied at 400s. Joey Logano, 450. Then a big jump. Brad Kay at 7. Carson Hocevar, plus 800. Tyler Reddick, Kyle Busch, Chris Buescher, all 850. Ross Chastain, 10. Bubba, 11. Ryan Preece, 12. Austin Cindric, 15. And Josh Berry round out the first page, 17-1. Chase Elliott or Chase Briscoe at plus 400.
Well, I like Ty
Gibbs at 320.
Plus 320. I like Ty Gibbs plus 320. But, when you talked about something, you mentioned the fact that Zane Smith finished third here. Bristol tends to be a track where sometimes we get somebody in that top 3 that we don't expect to be in the top 3. Maybe.
Well, remember Matty D. Matt DiBenedetto
should have won.
Should have won that thing.
He clipped Ryan Newman on the way past to lap him. He crumpled in his fender, and he really couldn't get the downforce on the car. Denny passed him, but Matt DiBenedetto. Our buddy Kurt Busch won his first ever Cup race here at Bristol.
Corey Heim was 6th in the playoff race in that part-time deal. So, I mean, we get guys that run good here. Carson Hocevar finished 7th in the playoff race here. And we get a lot of names like that.
And that's when I look at some of these double-digit guys down here, Chastain, I see Preece, I see Cindric, I see Berry. And even though he's not a double-digit, Chris Buescher plus 850. I mean, I see some guys here.
I just like Chris. We just like Chris.
We love Chris Buescher, but Buescher has run well. And look, his teammate, we know how good Brad Keselowski has run here. We know how well they did last year. So I just see some of these guys at the bottom of the second column here, and I say, you know what? One of those guys finishing in the top 3. I don't know which one it's going to be. But one of those guys I think is going to be in the top 3.
Let's get to the second page, and we start off with the guy you named right off the bat there. Zane Smith finished third here in this race last year. Zane, Michael McDowell, he's not scratched now. Connor Zilich and AJ Allmendinger are all 28-1. Eric Jones 30. SVG, Ricky Stenhouse, Noah Gragson, John Hunter, Daniel Suarez, Austin Dillon at 35. Todd Gilligan 55-1. Ty Dillon, Riley Herbst, Cole Custer 110s. Cody Ware and Chad Fincham both at 130. That, the Zane Smith thing right there, it is intriguing, and even the Dinger's not half bad here. Dinger, he's got 9th in this race last year with that team, but they've been struggling a little bit more lately. I don't know if
I think this page is maybe a little bit harder, other than maybe Zane Smith, but the other guy that I would get, SVG. I know. Nothing is going to surprise me out of him now.
No, SVG is no longer a surprise no matter what he does. So I don't dislike. Top 3's tough. I would give you maybe getting SVG up into if you look. We always talk about this, right? We're doing this on a Thursday. Hard to find some odds for us. We got Westgate, we got DraftKings, we got South Point. But if you find somebody like DraftKings has a top 10. If you find a SVG top 10, he's 35-1 for top 3. He may still be
10-1, maybe.
Yeah, that could be a good number for a top 10. So
I don't disagree.
All right, when we come back, guys, we got lots of head-to-heads. We're a couple groups short on the groups this week. Had to go to DraftKings, and we'll get you the manufacturer props and all of our picks, and maybe tell you how we did last week. We don't really like it. Bienvenidos back into the South Point studio. Jeff Motley, Brendan Gaughan, and our
is that what we're doing now? I didn't understand a thing.
I can do the show in Spanish. We can change up if we want. Anne, I think, is using ChatGPT back there to try to help her, give her Spanish calls back in. But we are here. We have talked about Daniel Suarez. He's my muchachito. I love my Daniel.
Did I see where he's getting ready to become a dad?
Yep. They just announced he was hanging out with Daniel Trotta and Robbie Benton and announced that to them that he is having a baby girl, I believe they said. So
good. Well,
congratulations to Daniel.
Happy for them. They are an amazing, nice couple.
Well, first of all, talk about a power couple.
Yeah. Well, yeah.
He's married to a PK. Come on, that's pretty bad to the bone right there.
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, us older guys remember. His son raced in NASCAR for a little bit, but.
Nelson Piquet Jr. won a truck race out at Las Vegas Motor Speedway.
But I grew up with Nelson Piquet.
But Nelson Piquet, they're Brazil. Yeah. So you look at the great drivers that have come out of there.
Emerson Fittipaldi
and Elliot Castroneves, Emerson Fittipaldi, a lot of guys down there.
Anyway, let's get to. We got some good head-to-heads this week. A lot of head-to-head action, and we don't really have like a don't line this week, Jeff. That we always get. There's always there's no don't. There's really no. Well, there's a Kyle Larson, but not as much as it. It's not as evident as it normally is. I guess we do have a negative on 4 lines, but
somebody might be taking.
I might be taking one of them. Yeah. Listen, I look at this. Ty Gibbs. We've talked about how hot he is, and I know you're poo-pooing Kyle Larson right now. Ty Gibbs plus 125 on Kyle Larson. I mean, buyer beware. He's been pretty darn strong. You also get a Ty Gibbs plus 115 against Denny Hamlin if you want to, a little less return, maybe a little less risk, but. And the Ty Gibbs Seabelt versus Seabelt.
I say, who won here in the fall? Well, I like Seabelt against Larson.
Is there a Seabelt? Plus 110.
Plus 110 against Larson. He won this race in the fall. And we talked a little bit off the air. This is going to be a new tire. And
both sides, lefts and rights.
And tires at Bristol have been the story on numerous occasions. And I just think there's a lot of unknowns here.
There are. I still, every time I look up, and right now on our monitors, we have Ryan Blaney with that mustache.
Wyatt Earp. I didn't think you look. He's going to the shootout at the OK Corral.
I'm telling you, it's impressive. God, love you.
It is impressive.
Don't shave it.
It's funny. You got, if you're looking at our screen up here, you have Ryan up there beside a Denny Hamlin.
It's not. Well, it's on ours. It's not.
And the problem is, poor Denny. Sorry, brother. But
that mustache
you're trying to grow, and
that mustache Denny's put out is not you. You do not need to be in a group next to him. You don't need to.
Yeah, Denny's a field filler with that mustache compared to Ryan Blaney out there right now.
Okay,
sorry, Denny,
back on track. We digress again. To me, there's a honey trap bet in here though. Joey Logano is plus 130 to Brad Keselowski's minus 150. This might be one of the few times I'd take a minus number and I'd take it happily. Joey Logano, has not done well at Bristol here in a while. And I would take that 150. I know I don't normally tell you to take minus bets because there's so many positive numbers in NASCAR betting for the bettors out there. It's just, there's so many better ways to bet, but that minus 150 to me is almost like a lock this week. And I would actually be willing to take that because I just don't see Joey Logano beating Brad, even though he finished top 5 last week at Martins or last race at Martinsville. Joey Logano not been good at Bristol in a while.
I thought you just wanted to do that. Can make me pull out a calculator to have to do math in case you actually win it.
But the Chase Elliott 120 versus William Byron. Chase Elliott just came off of winning at Martinsville.
Yeah, he won. You remember the year they had the All-Star race at Bristol? Chase Elliott won it and dominated. And Elliott, although my hard part with Elliott is, look, they were not that good last week until they got out front. And for Elliott, as long as Gustafson can find a way to get him out front, he's pretty good. But that car has not handled in traffic hardly at all this year.
8th, 2nd, 15:38 with a crash for the 38. And there's some good numbers there for Chase Elliott. I don't know. I kind of like that. Byron's no slouch. 5 top 10s. Chase has a 2-point better, 13.1 to 15.3 average finish at Bristol last 10 races. So I don't know. I kind of like that Chase Elliott number 2. A couple head-to-heads. It's 2 that I like, but I'd stay away from that Joey Logano. To me, that's the honey trap of the group.
Yeah, it is odd to get Joey Logano at plus 130 in a head-to-head, and it's not against a Hamlin, a Larson, or a Bell.
And I'm saying I'm taking the minus 150. That's even more rare. Let's get to our group matchups this week. Right now, we have 4 group matchups this week from DraftKings, and there are some big returns on Group A, which normally we don't get this type of thing. Kyle Larson, your favorite, plus 185. Denny Hamlin, plus 265. Ryan Blaney, 285. Christopher Bell, 320. Denny Hamlin, 265. I actually wouldn't mind taking. I just,
Denny Hamlin plus 265 and the guy that won this race in the fall at plus 320 are both very enticing. And again, it kind of goes back to my whole point that Larson's got to prove something now. I know that sounds weird. You need Kyle Larson to prove something, but
Kyle Larson, that is Jeff Motley, Motley.
And like I said, though, if Kyle Larson was sitting here doing this show with us, he would tell you he's frustrated he hasn't won in 31 races.
I would have killed for his frustrating season.
I appreciate that. And so would 99.9% of all the race car drivers. But we're talking about putting your money where your mouth is here.
I'm there.
But look, you get me Denny Hamlin at plus 265 at Bristol.
That's pretty impressive right there.
Hard to pass on.
And even like you said, Seabell 320, it's hard to pass that up. Both of those are good. Group B, kind of interesting here. There's that mustache. Oh, I love it. Ty Gibbs plus 200, Chase Elliott, Chase Briscoe 270s, Joey Logano 300. I just said that to me, the Joey Logano bet is not a good bet. So I'm going to look at this and take it to a 3-man horse race. Briscoe, Elliott, Gibbs. Even though I just said I like Chase Elliott in a head-to-head versus William Byron, I don't like him in a head-to-head versus Chase Briscoe and Ty Gibbs. I like Ty Gibbs and Chase Briscoe. I could take the plus 270 and get a better return. I think I'm going to lean towards little Chase Briscoe.
Yeah, and first off, I did not realize what a man crush you had on Ryan Blaney. But
just that mustache, man. That's a man. That's a manly man's mustache right there. That is, that man has.
Do you ever have a mustache?
Really, all the stuff you've seen on my face? I've had mustaches. I've had beards. I've had
you racing with the mustache.
Oh yeah, I raced with
my
dad.
With the mustache.
Yeah, my dad was.
I've seen pictures of your dad.
I went to the throwback. Remember the throwback with my dad's mustache. I
remember when your dad. I've seen pictures of your dad. I don't know if I remember him having the mustache, but I've seen pictures.
Okay, I'll post one online for you.
All right, so here's my thing on Group B, and it's a lot like you, but it's probably why I'm afraid to pick this. I mean, deep down inside, I think Ty Gibbs is going to win this group, but he's only plus 200. And I just don't think he's that much better than Chase Briscoe. So
12.6, 12.8 average finish for both of them.
There you go.
I mean, they're right there.
That just proves my point right
6
there.
races, 4, 7 races, 3. It's tight. But with both what they both did in the playoff race, both of them, the Martin Truex theory that we always, gave out, this was not one that worked in Chase Briscoe's favor. Martin was not. He's 3 top 10s and 2 top 10s in 8 races, last 8 races here. So I
like your theory on why you take Briscoe. And I like the return on Briscoe. I'm sitting here thinking, I really think Gibbs is going to win this group. But, man, I don't know if he can beat Briscoe. So I'm staying away from this group, but I do like both those guys. And I am kind of with you. I think it's a 2-horse race. And if one's plus 270 and one's plus 200, then you probably ought to take the 270.
There you go. Let's get into Group C. Group C, we have Brad Keselowski, our favorite, at 220. Carson Hocevar, 255. Tyler Reddick and Kyle Busch, 275 each.
Now, when I look at Group A and I see Kyle Larson at plus 185, and I look at Group C and I look at who's in Group C, and I'm trying to understand why Brad Keselowski is not plus 185 in this group. I look at this group right here, and okay, Reddick has not run well at Bristol.
Yeah, but he's Reddick this year. I mean, goodness gracious.
But he also didn't run well at Martinsville 2 weeks ago.
True.
And Kyle Busch has not run well anywhere. Well, he hasn't. I mean, and he'll be the first to tell you that. I'm not throwing dirt on him. Hocevar is kind of a little bit of a wild card.
11th and 7th last year in 2 races.
Right. So Hocevar is a little bit of a wild card, but Brad Keselowski at Bristol plus 220, I like that all day.
See, I'm looking towards just the Reddick from how well he's been running, but that Hocevar, dude.
I know, and Hocevar is the one that scares me the most, but when I look at this group right here, and you can't tell me that Keselowski is not an overwhelming favorite. Now, that's not saying he's going to win the group, but you get him at plus 220 and not a plus 185 or plus 200. I mean,
last 10 races, 3rd best point getter, 6 top 10s, 4 top 5s.
And when we look at all of our other groups, he has the highest odds of any favorite. And to me, he is a bigger favorite in this group than the other favorites are in their group. Yeah. So I love Keselowski right here.
I'm with you. And the Hocevar pick is not that big. 220 to 255, good return on both. I got to lean towards Brad, that Reddick thing just scares me there because this kid's been so on fire. But
yes, the short track program is not quite as good as the other programs, and I think that's something they're going to work hard at because they know there's 2 of those in the chase at the end of the year.
Very true. Group D, our last group this week. Wow. Hi, how are you doing, boys and girls?
Okay,
No,
you sound like
that
Des.
wasn't very nice. Group D, we kick off with Chris Buescher is your favorite at 200, Ross Chastain 250, Bubba Wallace at 285, and Ryan Preece at 300. I got to say, I like DraftKings groups this week. I like their people. To me, Bubba Wallace kind of been, of these guys, the best that's been running, right? I mean, doing kind of the best, but
well, I don't know. I've said the last few weeks they've kind of, taken a dive.
But Ryan Preece, 9 races, 2 top 10s, 5 positions better on the overall. He's 14.4 average. Bubba Wallace, 19 average finish. Those 2 spots right there. But then you got that outlier, that Ross Chastain. Man, when Ross runs, Ross runs.
Well, when Ross runs, he does. He runs well. But what I see is 2 teammates to Brad K out there in Preece and Buescher.
Mm-hmm.
We know how good those cars are. I don't think there's that much separation between Buescher and Preece, if you want my honest opinion about it. And I see one at plus 200, one that's plus 300. So if I'm going to bet this group, I'm going to go and take Ryan Preece because he's plus 300 and there's just a bigger return. I know this sounds nuts, but this is almost a 2-man race to me between those 2 RFK cars. And if one's plus 300, one's plus 200, give me the guy plus 300. Give me Preece.
See, and I disagree. I like Bubba Wallace. I think Bubba Wallace is.
Well, they've just been struggling lately. And maybe this week off is going to.
Struggle versus finish.
Well, and maybe that's it. They've run well. They haven't finished well.
They got speed. Like I said, when I was at Penske, we didn't have speed.
Remember we used to call Blaney the opener?
Yeah.
Harvick was the closer. Wallace has been opening. He hasn't been closing lately.
But he's got speed. That's the thing.
He does have speed.
And he does like the short tracks.
And that team's been, the organization are winning races.
They're good. All right, when we come back, we'll give you the manufacturer's prop, and we'll get you our picks. And again, how we did last week, quickly. Welcome back into Gone Racin. Nobody has more fun than Gone Racin does right here in the South Point studio. Jeff Motley, Brendan Gaughan, the whole crew behind the curtain.
So you can hear all the cackling behind the curtain.
We have a lot of fun here. Welcome back in. Final segment of Gone Racin. And Mr. Motley, we've gone through all of our group matchups, our head-to-heads. We have our manufacturer prop left. And it's fairly tight right here, the manufacturer prop. We got Chevy plus 140, Toyota 150, and Ford plus 265. We spent most of the show talking about Chevrolets, Ford, and Toyotas. The best Ford guy here, Ryan Blaney, 5 top 10s, 3 top 5s, last 10 races. Buescher is the only Ford with a win in the last 10, and we talked about Brad doing well. So I mean, it's. Remember when Chris Buescher won this race? That came out of nowhere. Remember that?
Yeah, absolutely. So, I think there are some Fords that are capable. And it's interesting. We haven't really talked about Ryan Blaney other than his mustache during the entire show. So, yeah,
but it's an epic mustache.
Exactly. But we really kind of have really not paid him a lot of attention in terms of his racing at Bristol this weekend. And I don't know if I'm ready to take it, but plus 265 is not a horrible number. It's not horrible on the Fords.
Look, last year he was. One stage 1, one stage 2, finished 4th in the playoff race, and in the first race he finished 5th. Led 48 laps in the race that Kyle Larson dominated. So it's not like he's a slouch here, but I just think there's too many bullets in that Toyota chamber at plus 140. I mean, no matter how good Kyle Larson is, if I'm going to take a bet, I'm going to take Kyle Larson to win the race at plus 400. And not Chevrolet at plus 110.
Well, I agree with you there.
Or 140,
I'm not going to take the manufacturer prop this week. I'm just saying that if you wanted to take Ford, I think there's some value there. I don't think there's as much value in the Toyota or the Chevy picks.
Real quick, championship odds. Not a lot of change. We've talked from the start of the season. Of course, Tyler Reddick has come the furthest. He was started at 18-1. He's up to plus 500. That's kind of the biggest one. There is still a lot of value out there. Joey Logano is started at 18, is down to 20. I know I poo-pooed him a little bit on this show just now, but I think that Joey is still a lot of value. Chase Elliott still at double digit, 10-1. But to me, the one that screams to me right there is Chase Briscoe, Jeff. He's 16-1 still.
Briscoe 16-1, and I think Chase Elliott at 10-1. I think
like
both of those
still. There's still a great way to hedge your bet there. Second page, I'm not going to reach out and maybe Ty Gibbs.
Ty Gibbs.
He
at
opened
20.
at 50. He's down to 20. Ty is becoming, somebody to talk about every week.
And again, I think when he gets that checkered flag, I think he may just kick.
It
that
could be
door
one of
in.
those. Once they get that first one, it's Katie bar the door. So
yeah, I think the momentum. I think the confidence level. I think he's going to walk into that garage with his head held a little bit higher, and and he's look this kid in the last couple of years, he's been through a lot.
Look, been through a lot is an understatement. I mean, the whole Gibbs family and how they've been able to overcome and do what they do. And I think that, look, and right now you got the distraction of the stuff that's being said in the lawsuit. And,
Exactly.
there's all sorts of distractions. I got to give the kid some credit. With all these distractions, he's running the best he's ever run in his career.
I totally agree. And maybe because of all the noise, maybe he has just been able to put some blinders on and be like, that kind
of might be what he needed, because he was a little loud and aggressive. Some people were, vexatious would be a good word.
Let's face it, he hurted it. He got the job because his grandfather owned the team, and his dad obviously was the president of the team there for a while, and he ran well in Xfinity Series because he had the best cars in the race, and he heard all. Maybe there's a little bit of a chip on that shoulder now, saying, you know what, I'm going to prove that I'm actually good enough to do this.
Well, and like I said, with the noise that's going on with the lawsuit and some of the things being said, I think it's a great time for him. He's basically telling all the haters, you can hate all you want, I'm here, and he's doing a great job. So I do think maybe that 20-1 number is still a good value, because as he gets a win, he may get a bunch in a row and move himself up into this playoff contention really well.
Get into that chase, anything can happen.
That's all you got to do. All right, let's go very quickly through how we did at Martinsville a couple weeks ago.
All three got the same pick.
All of us got one win, and all of us got the same win. So it was not a Gone Racin jinx. It was the Gone Racin. We give you the W.
Well, we did jinx Christopher Bell in Group B last week.
Reddick beat Wallace.
Yep.
And
that's where the conversation ends.
The conversation of all of us. We all lost 1.6 units for the week. Maybe a couple
I
bad
have now
beats.
dropped below
You are below the real Mendoza line.
The pit crew is like they're below the first level of the cemetery. They're the people that were born 100 years, that were buried 100 years before the current people.
They are almost double digit in the loser category, so they need to dig out of that. I'm still got a 15.1. I'm still positive. I've had a couple good weeks. I just got to keep what I've done right, Jeff. I minimize the loss on the bad weeks. Last week only losing 1.6 units. That's a minimize the loss.
Well, unfortunately, that's what we all did last week, but some of us didn't have as much leeway to lose as you did.
There you go. See? So, as usual on Gone Racin', we go worst to first. And, let's just take a moment to enjoy, Jeff, me and you. I believe there was a couple years ago that the pit crew was mighty cocky.
Mm-hmm. Oh, yeah.
They won't even come on camera or even put their voice to it anymore, but they were mighty cocky. Going through a litany of old producers.
They have a lot of bandages and Band-Aids out there right now.
And now they just hide back there and cackle and count us in Spanish, and right now just kind of be in the peanut gallery behind the curtain. They don't want to say a whole lot. Do you, boys and girls? Nope. Got crickets over there.
Yep, it's quiet.
Yeah, the screen went even blank. They gave us even a blank screen now. So
they just turn them all off.
Our producer just said, "Fine, we're out." If you Sirius XM didn't get lost, but those on YouTube just got a dark screen. So I think it's time for us to give our picks. Then we do go worst to first, and of course, I was noticed this week it didn't say don't cheat, don't look.
They didn't care if we looked.
Yeah, they didn't care if I looked. So we will kick off with the pit crew, and the pit crew is picking. Doggone it, one that I'm picking already. They're taking Ty Gibbs over Kyle Larson at plus 125 in the head-to-heads.
Kiss of death.
Mm-hmm. And then, it wasn't a kiss of death last week.
It wasn't.
Last race,
right,
just
right.
saying.
I hope it's not this week either.
Now, they are taking a Hamlin Group A at plus 265. I don't dislike that pick. They definitely did not listen to our show making this pick. They got Joey Logano in Group B at plus 300. They have Brad Keselowski Group C at plus 220. And they got our man, the man that cashes more tickets on Gone Racin' than anybody, Chris Boucher, in Group D at plus 200 also.
Well, the scary thing is I have three of the same picks as the pit crew. Although without us having a Group E and a Group F, our options were a bit limited.
Yes, they were.
So they were limited. So I am going to go into the top threes, and I am going to take Ty Gibbs at plus 320 for top 3. I think that's a really good number on Ty. Then I'm going to go with 2 head-to-heads. One of those is the Ty Gibbs against Kyle Larson, plus 125. But I'm also going Christopher Bell, plus 110 against Kyle Larson in the head-to-heads. And then my other 2 groups, same as the pit crew had, I've got Denny Hamlin in Group A, and I've got Brad Kay in Group C.
All right. I don't dislike that. So I'm making some changes on the fly to mine because I realize I can't go that many with the pit crew. I am going to start off with, I'm going to take one. Dang it, Jeff. I'm second guessing myself again.
Well, it's at least you have the advantage of picking last and seeing what the rest of us did for now.
All right. I am going to go. Do I want Toyota? Do I want the manufacturer prop?
This is compelling radio.
I know it's
right
compelling
now,
radio.
so.
You guys don't get to see it. At least you get to see the sweat on my face if you're watching the Gone Racin, channel. What do you think, Jeff? Do I want a head-to-head or do I want the manufacturer prop this week?
It's up to you.
What do you think? Pit crew, do I want the manufacturer prop this week?
I'm trying to get ahead of you, so
don't take what you're going to say. All right, I'm going to go with what I got written down. I'm going to stick with my gun. I'm not going to take a top 3. I'm going 2 head-to-heads. I've got Ty Gibbs versus Kyle Larson also at plus 125. And I'm going to take Chase Elliott versus Willie B at plus 120. I do like those 2 head-to-heads. In my group matchups, I've got Group B with Chase Briscoe. I do like that 270 number on him. And then in Group C, I'm going against you guys. I'm taking that Carson Hocevar pick at plus 255. I'm going right there in the middle. And then my last pick, I'm torn. I still got Toyota at 150 written. See, but I would make like 2 different changes. I could take Chase. I could take Toyota plus 150. Final answer. Dang it. I don't like it, though.
I find the humor in the fact that you sit here and you kind of make fun of me for talking about Kyle Larson's losing streak, and then you pick against him.
Well, see, that's why
and didn't pick him anyway.
So I kind of want to take Ty. I kind of want to get rid of that pick and take Ty Gibbs in the top 3 and get rid of that pick,
like I did. See, you're going to have to follow somebody. It looks like
that's it. Phone's down. I'm done.
And you didn't pick the stash.
I did not pick the stash. The stash is epic, but the stash I just don't like this week in the picks that he has.
So we're going to talk about for 2 minutes. See, we didn't have 2 groups this week, so we got finished. And if anyone ever thought listening to our show that you and I would have to come up with something to talk about.
Well, I don't think that's ever a doubt for me and you.
By the way, congratulations on your win in the San Felipe 250.
I appreciate it.
A couple of weeks ago.
Hey, 2 in a row, baby. We're on a winning streak. 2 in a row.
What do you get for winning?
Actually, you really. I got a email this week that was, what do I want to do with my check? My winnings, it was a whopping $3,200. Thank you very much.
How much did it cost you to go down there?
To go down or the entry fee?
Entry fee.
Oh, I'm not going to tell you the whole cost. I'll look terrible. The entry fee is $4,400.
And you got $3,200 for winning?
I get a Laurel and Hardy handshake.
Do you get a trophy?
I get a big trophy. There we got a little picture on if you're watching YouTube channel right there. I was on the BFG 42s, first car ever on the 42s. We won in their maiden voyage for BF Goodrich, so that was a big deal to us. That was.
Do you have a mouthpiece when you're riding those things?
Nah, I talk too much.
How do you not just chatter your teeth out the way you guys bounce around on
we get bounced around a little bit. But yeah, my big check. I told them to please just put it towards the Baja 500.
Well, somebody is running a racket down there. If they're charging you $4,400 to get in the race and you get $3,200 to win.
Yeah, it's not. It's kind of like you don't race for the pay.
Yes, I'm just saying that
you race for the love of the game.
Somebody down there is living in a big house. That's all I got to say. Because whoever is charging those entry fees, there's some serious return on their investment right there.
Yes. Mr. Motley, that is our show for Bristol Motor Speedway. We do love Bristol. It is, you and I, both one of our favorite ones. It is one of the best places in the world to race.
Bristol is a fun place. If you've never been to a race at Bristol, it's a must.
It is a bucket list. I mean, getting up there and watching that race is so much fun. We will see you guys this week. Thanks for joining us on Gone Racin. We'll see you guys next week when we talk about this one and wrap up, bring up everything at Kansas Motor Speedway. Thanks, gang.